Ready?
Yes.
Greetings, children of God.
Well, hello.
It has been a while,
Yes.
and we wish to start the meeting, our conversation, with some understanding. First, we come to our son. There was a message that we were going to give, but with his experience with chastity yesterday, it cleared up the need for the message, although we will say it anyway. However, we wish to thank Chastity for working with us and our energy and being acceptance in getting our son the message that he required. It was very important. To our son, we will say, as he's already learned yesterday, that the time is upon him, it is real, it is happening sooner than later. And while he is doing everything he needs to, don't dawdle and don't delay. You don't have the time that you think you do. The time of service is upon you, and there'll be those that come forward, the new challenges that he will be required to overcome, and almost regret the quiet days when he was alone, is being among others' energy and remaining grounded. And so that he does not take on other people's energy of excitement and falsities of divinity and become ungrounded and lose his effectiveness as the channel, as the being, as the healer. And so he will be cast into a whole new arena of energy to work within. And when he comes and complains about being overwhelmed by the people that are around him, remind him with a laugh of how much he didn't want to be in the quiet of being alone. That this is what he asked for, to be of service. And so one chapter closes and a new chapter begins, the chapter of service. And like anything else in physicality, it is a whole new lesson on learning energy dynamics, keeping your peace, and staying grounded. Now, our message to you, Mansoor, is that you are evolving in complexity in your philosophies. And we wanted to point out one objection, just one, which is that through the course of you developing your thought and philosophy, there has been the point of looking at spirituality and seeing the falsity that it doesn't lead you to the path that you require. It doesn't lead you to the truth. This is important work because it whittles away what's not important to get to what's important. But the point that we want to bring to your attention is that quite often you refer it to a carrot on a stick, that it is a game, a manipulation. And quite often you use that tone with us. We had hoped at the beginning of the conversations, when we went for round 2 to begin again, we were excited that you were going to confront us with that perception and accuse us of such manipulation. You stated it clearly outside of our presence channeling through the body, but at the time thought wiser than to bring it up with us. What we would like to bring to your attention is that this is a conversation. And it can be perceived as rude to invite someone in and then accuse them of such things without the ability to talk about it. And so we wanted to bring to your attention that concept concerning us. When we say our information to you, we are not baiting the carrot. We are answering the question that you asked. You asked us here, and we appear, and we enjoy our time with you, and we enjoy our conversation. However, building that conversation and continue looking at it, that the time that we spend with you is a manipulation, a carrot on a stick that leads nowhere, is what we're bringing to your attention to say perhaps that needs to be revisited. And since you did not bring it to us, it is timely for us to bring it to you. That does not mean that we need to discuss that today. What we wish is for you to reflect on that and the information given, and when you are grounded and ready, if it is required to bring it to us, we ask, as always, in open conversation. In open conversation. That is the basis of this meeting. An open conversation. Equal to equal. As our son would say, capiche?
Capiche.
Good.
I wasn't aware of the,
Pause. One more thing, and then we can get into the conversation. We wanted to bring to your attention two things. One, our son was talking in the reading yesterday, and Chastity brought to his awareness that he's going through another activation, very similar to the one he went through in his young 20s. And that the two are connected. The first one he went through was as is. The second one he's going through is without the anchor of what was left. And in that meaning, we will leave it a mystery because our son does not wish that to become public knowledge. But you know what we're talking about, and he knows what we're talking about. And so the second activation is for his purpose. The first activation was to carry through the rest of what was supposed to be finished. And what we want to bring to his attention is that he brought up the concept. What would be the limitation of us coming through if he was in that state of mind, that state of being? That free will would not block the capacity of the information we could bring through. And we want to correct a perception with him that when he is in that state, the reason why Woman of the Forest told him that healing will take the forefront and channeling will not, during this time of upheaval and change, is due to one fact. If he is within that state of mind, he is channeling himself. We are not required. We simply become his brothers and sisters. Our rightful place perceived by a righted mind. And so there will be no channeling. because it would not be required. He will be channeling himself, and the same information will be present, but through him. The end game and the point of learning channeling, not to bring through our divinity, but to bring through your own. To work so closely with spirit that you recognize your own face in the mirror. And so he will be at the end game of the channeling. Channeling himself. We will not be required. That does not mean that we will go away. We will always be with him because we are connected. It's how God created us. And so, at that point, things change. But what does that mean to you? Does that mean we no longer speak? That you no longer have a chance to listen to such lessons? It changes for you as well. Because you are at the beginnings of hearing the voice yourself. Not us. The ones you work with. The ones around you. And so the path completes. He gets to the status and the position of channeling himself, and you get to the position of channeling for you. Not necessarily in this form. We are not limiting it. It can come in a variety of ways. Now, backing up one piece of information we did not mention for our son. The reason why healing comes into play is because it becomes a natural side effect of such a union. Cause and effect. Energy such as that building up must go outward, must be grounded, must be given, will always expand out. Healing will be called for at that time. A natural channel for the channel. And so that will be his side effect, healing. Because that will be what's required, which does not mean he does not give the information. That will also be the side effect. So your days of him giving you fortune cookie readings is not over. Now back to you. You are at the beginning of hearing the voice within and learning to sharpen that skill. And so we would tell the both of you, our job is complete. You are where you need to be, and you're doing exactly what needed to be done. You are prepared for the changes. Although there is a physical list that certainly needs to be addressed for physical needs. But spiritually, you are where you need to be. The intention of the meetings when they first started has achieved their natural end. Does this make sense to you?
Very much.
So let us begin our conversation. We cut you off. We apologize.
Oh no, it's irrelevant now because it was answered by...
Funny how that happens.
Yeah, by by just a knowing. It's like, oh, okay, there it is. Well, it's really good to physically hear you again. And I guess this can go anywhere, but I had a question that I've been wanting to ask since the beginning of our, a few lessons into our conversations a few years back when we first met. But before going into that, we had a discussion about past life, future lives, etc., etc., etc. I've been running more and more in the spiritual community and religious doctrines and philosophies, this discussion of past life. But Mansoor always kind of cringes at it. And as I'm talking to you right now, I realize I cringe at it because I'm seeing people just say it as a status symbol, as a, oh, I had this past life. I was the apprentice of this magician or this carpenter or da 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 da, or I was there and healed by Jesus. And I don't know what their intentions are in saying it, but Mansoor perceives it as, oh, you're just patting yourself on the back. What about you now? Where are you now? So there's the part of me that doubts the importance of past life. So before I ask the question that I've been wanting to ask for a while, whether or not it's relevant, is it relevant to even discuss past lives? In the context of being here, being present, clearing out one's personal garbage, and de-identifying with ego self, people, places, and things, identities?
It is a very good question. And we will take the opportunity to answer another question with it. And the basis of the underlying question is oftentimes, when you listen to our meetings, you point out that we contradicted ourselves, that we gave one information one way, and then later on gave it another way. So let us take the issue of past lives and go to the ultimate answer first.
Can I say something before you start?
Absolutely.
It's funny because I was like, when did I say they contradicted? And then I realized, oh, because now I see it, you weren't really contradicting. You just, because, you know, as you may know, I've been seeing that the only reason something's a paradox or a contradiction is because we define it that way. But everything is like everything. There's contradiction and paradox is just everything. It doesn't mean it's wrong. So I just thought it was really interesting. So yeah, I may have said that, but I realize as I'm doing the work and observing, apparently everything's a contradiction.
Well, we're going to take that a bit deeper. So, looking at past life and going into the ultimate answer, does it have a purpose? In actuality, no. And this is a matter of the state of mind we are describing. Does our past lives affect what we are now? No. It was another illusion to shed in order to truly be. The idea of the past life as a separate thing was in the way of being and knowing our purpose. And so it was another thing on the list of non-detachment, of detachment, of no longer being attached to the idea of it being separate. That doesn't mean that the experience faded. It's one of the things our son had brilliantly pointed out in his writings of your astrological chart. Understanding the paradox of perception. We put a rock before us, and we each view the rock. And from that we gain meaning, we gain experience, but we also trap ourselves to that rock. Because as we define ourselves through the illusion of defining the rock now needs to stay the same or becomes a danger to the self.
The rock needs to say the same?
Correct.
What is that?
If someone came before us and let us take your beautiful double terminated amethyst crystal,
Yes.
as our son would say, the titty crystal,
You
in
know,
his usual uncouth ways.
no one but Mansoor could get spirit to say titty.
Now, we talk about the beauty of the crystal, the harmony of the crystal, the placement within the house. And through that, we define ourselves with that rock being there. Oh, but it's a crystal. No, it's a rock. Oh, but it's sentient. It's still a rock. It can promote healing. It's still a rock. But whatever that definition is, we create and we get used to it being there. We become attached to its presence. Because there's a portion of us in that rock. Let us repeat that. There is a portion of us in that rock. When we put our attention upon it and received it, it was a two-way street, so to speak, of perception, an exchange of energy. And now that rock being there, just where it is every morning, even if it's a glance before you go to work, gives a placement of normalcy. But now that rock is before us as we sit here conversing, and in comes chaos and smashes it with a sledgehammer. We become upset. You've damaged it. You've destroyed it. Its form changed. What got destroyed was our perception of it. So who are we now? The Buddhist will simply say, oh, it's changed, and give it no further thought, accepting its new form, because it's not attached to it. Do you see the subtleties?
I do, because it can evolve into this is it it answers a lot, but it's what we do with people.
Correct.
And this answers the I don't understand how we can kill each other
And
dehumanize one another.
let us bring it down to a very basic level. Mansoor, you do this with the fork in a silverware drawer. You all do. Everything you touch, you make personal. On very subtle levels. You imbue it with life, with purpose. And in that same moment, create separation. Not because of the beauty of imbuing it with a sense of essence, but your attachment to it.
The attachment creates separation.
If you went to work and we came in during the day and removed all the silverware from the drawer, and you came home and opened up the silverware drawer and there was nothing, there would be that momentary sense of annoyance and panic.
Fuck.
That is the attachment.
Yeah.
The Buddhist would simply say, better to see the moon. The form has been removed, and I am still present.
Thank you so much, because this meeting can end right now and answers everything. Like, wow.
Now, the second part of that our son said in your interpretation was that at the end of the change of perception,
You keep going.
the rock still has the same weight and mass,
Mm-hmm.
It's still physicality. We would add its form can change. All things do. But the point of the example was in that moment when you do that shift of perception, there is the young, immature belief that the physicality stops being. No, the only thing that shifted was your perceptions. The rock is still sitting there with the same mass, the same body. Nothing has shifted for the rock, only for you. Now, taking that packet of data and looking at past lives, then at that point in time, what would it matter? Because the past life is the rock. Can you see it?
Yeah, and that's a beautiful way of putting it. That was what I was. That's what so that makes the question subtler. Titty rock, it's just a rock. Smash it up, yada yada, etc. Whether or not I care about it, whether or not I'm attached to it, when it gets smashed, let me rephrase it. The cup is helpful to hold liquid. In this one in particular, to keep it hot. But if I don't have the cup, yeah, I'll be like, okay, this is annoying. I don't have something to hold coffee. But I'll make do and use like a regular glass cup and kind of sip at it. Or I'll just, shotgun it with the pitcher. I won't have my coffee mug. Yeah, I'm a little upset, but, I can still get on. However, to have it makes drinking coffee easier. So then the question becomes, past life is the past life is past life. Doesn't really matter. But in pursuing the work without getting caught on the treadmill chasing the carrot, does focusing on past life help or hinder?
We're getting there.
Okay.
But first we want to back up and examine what you just said. Because within it was the means of being trapped by a coffee cup. Being owned by a coffee cup. Mm-hmm. You called it my coffee cup.
My man.
And therein lies the attachment. Because now, if you come down in the morning and the coffee cup is not there, you have lost something.
My pen. Yeah.
And it's when you call it mine that the attachment begins.
My man, that was not for Janine, that was for me. Oh.
Do you see it?
I do. You may not be coming through David, but we're still talking.
Okay. Now, we continue the explanation to answer the question. On past lives, we gave the ultimate answer. You lose your attachments to them. You lose your attachments to everything. Because it's only by being unattached can you truly experience being. Being requires no attachments. And that is an intellectual understanding. But you know the power of experience of losing your attachment to something and how free you become. You gain an essence of inner self. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
So what would happen if you withdrew all of your attachments? Because Not because you're trying to accomplish it, not because you should, not because we said so,
No.
not because we shared our experience on how we lost the body experience, but because the state of being draws your attention more than the quicksand and mire of your ever-changing attachments. That you learn the futility of such things.
Oh.
And you understand the freedom of being. And so naturally your attention turns from outward to inward to being, because you finally get it. You finally understand. You put on the true glasses of seeing and recognized you were eating sewage. It really is that simple. It's not spiritually complicated at all.
No, man.
But the only way, and this gets us to the second part of the explanation, the only way to understand that is to accept your attachments as they are and observe them, to play with the toys, to learn to enjoy them. Does it burn? Enjoy the burn. Does it make you afraid? Enjoy being afraid. Go over and over and over and over again. Enjoy it till its fullest expression. Because only then, through proper observation, will you realize second verse, same as the first. I'm Henry VIII, I am. It's a repetitive cycle. It doesn't lead anywhere. There's nothing new here. It's like buying a trinket and shipping it home. There is that great hope of something new. And then you unpack it and get there and realize, same old, same old. It may give excitement for a couple of days, but at the end of the day, you're back online shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And shopping is not the issue. You do this with relationships. You do this with pets.
Mm.
You do this with homes. You do this with cars. You do this with jobs. You do this with books, lectures. Onward and onward and onward. Ever on the horizon is the answer.
Yep. All, because for Mansoor, that terror of being with Mansoor, myself, like, yeah, it's like the same thing that was discussed in the beginning in the meeting of wanting to run away from the quiet.
And there's nothing wrong with running.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. And it makes sense. I mean, if that's what one has been conditioned from the word go, if that's what one is conditioned to be around as normal, the noise, the distractions, the stuff, the interactions, the pinging, the dings, the music, all of it, to not have that is completely alien. And how is that not freak one out?
And here's the thing. You talk in extremes. You talk in absolute extremes, and we will point them out. On the one hand, you have what you're conditioned to. On the other hand, you have that not at all. and I can't cross that extreme. Send in the old ladies. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. It's a gradual realization, and one that could take many lifetimes.
My man, though, do we have the time, though?
Of course you do. Do you think breaking down civilization is unique? Do you think this is the first time this dimension has come within this energy of advancement and expanding? We hate to break the news to you.
You're not breaking the news.
You used to be way more expanded than what you are now.
I believe it, my man. I believe it.
All of you would be considered savage compared to the enlightened state that you were. Everything changes. So of course you have time. Why? Because you're creating the perception of it.
Of what?
Time. Time won't run out. How could it possibly run out? You're creating it as we speak. It is your state of mind. It is your state of being. Chosen. How could it run out? You're always being something. If it would not be this form, it'll be another. Again, ultimate answer. But staying on track with the original question, we're now going to take past life into a different point of view. You have a state of mind that is still very much, it's not at the point of saying that this is a repetitive and goes nowhere. This does not cause me joy. There's nothing for me to see anymore. But wait. There's this over here. If you go down that alley, there's this possibility. I've been down that alley. I know exactly what's there. As our son would say, there's a big hairy gorilla waiting to beat the hell out of me. Say hello to him. I'm not going down that way. And through karmic reactions, the person gets beat by themselves, by their own actions. There's no such thing as a big hairy gorilla, but there is such a thing as bad mixing of energy, is there not? And it leads you back to where you were. But in that state of mind, of trying to fix things, of slow realization of alignments, does past lives become helpful? Well, if you're afraid of the water of a tsunami, would it be helpful to remember the life where you got swallowed by one? To be able to integrate that, to be able to work that energetic mass out by taking the past and bringing it to the present to create a better future. Of course, in that state of mind, how could it not?
What do you mean that state of mind?
Dealing with the three. A segmented mind. There is a past to get a better present, so I have a better future. Surely that can't be alien to you in understanding.
No.
Now, from this state of mind, can past lives be very helpful? Well, of course. Let's explore. And we are not talking about the exploration of let's explore what celebrity I was, what famous scientist, what famous politician, what famous world leader, to booster my ego of self-importance, to give me a sense of importance to drown out the misery of self-worth that I feel that I am. to give me a successful mask, to project to others superiority. And why? For the safety. Because if I am more superior than you, then you can't attack me. You must give me your attention. You must give me your approval.
Never whole when perceived through the lens of time or...
Very true. Very true. But, to the point, does past lives become helpful? Most certainly. But wait, we just set a double standard because we said two things differently at different time points. One, we said it was unimportant and casually discarded as something non-useful.
And there you go, you demonstrate extremes.
And in the other, we say it's very helpful. What is the difference?
The state of mind that is perceiving, or the state of being in which you pursue that.
Correct. It's the angle of perception from the mind that is perceiving it. And there are times we'll give you contradictory information. And why? Because your mind is not a static, one-level thing. There are times that your mind has advanced into a more open level. And so we'll give that information for you to understand from that perspective. And there are other times that not so much. And we will give the information from that perspective because that is where you're perceiving it from. What good is an answer if it comes from a level that you can't yet perceive? It can't be understood. Better to give the answer from the level that the mind is at.
Yeah.
And so there are times as your mind flows, ever upward, but always back down to ground again, and then back upward a little bit higher, and then back down, we will go ahead and give the answer based on our point of contact from where you are, so that you perceive it in that moment.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter the actual quote-unquote information in terms of words, data. It's the... I don't even have the words for it. It's the state of being. Like outside, trying not to bring time into it, but it's the state of being of when that information is received. And just that statement brings time into it, but like receiving information without the scope of time, it's like this happening. It's like a process outside of time.
And
I don't know. I don't have the words for it.
You have it. Putting it in perspective in a physical way gives it time. But the reality of it is, we are going ahead and giving you the perception in the current moment. Always in the current moment. What are you being?
And there. It's that aha, that, oh, wow, boom, comes in alignment. It resonates, whatever. And then there's this just utter sadness of having lost something.
But you lose nothing. Because in that moment, you still have choice. You could liberate right now with one decision if you choose to. It's always the moment.
That statement. I'm gonna say it. I don't know why, but that statement is the carrot.
There is no carrot.
That statement is, to me, I'm perceiving it as a carrot, and that's where I get they just like the stuckness.
And it's because there's still the response, you have to do something. You have to go after the carrot.
You can liberate
You should go
at
after the
this
carrot.
moment if you choose to. Those are those are actions.
Yes.
You can action liberate in this moment time if you choose to action.
The moment has no time. That's what we're telling you. There is no time in the moment.
I know this is sounding crazy, y'all, but then how do you act outside of time? Is there action outside of time?
Only in illusion. Let's just say the sun goes down, the sun comes up. So we're in Sunday. And we come back to this exact spot and continue the conversation. What time is it? It's that exact moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's that exact moment. However, the mind says the sun went down and the sun came up. It's early morning, it's 10:30. It's 10:30, which is exactly 14.57 minutes since we last spoke. That is the illusion. It's still the moment. Get past the idea of time, because watch what happens. In between those 14.57 minutes, 14 hours, 0.57 minutes, you had a huge argument with your husband. Everything blew up in your face. You went outside to go to the gym and the car didn't start. So now there's that. Then you got a phone call from your sisters and they need money because they're about to get kicked out of the house because they didn't pay their rent. For good reasons, bad reasons, who knows? Make it up. It's part of the story. And then we meet. You are not in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You are trailing all of those attachments into the present moment to meet with us. You're not in a good mood. You've had a bad evening. I'm upset. I'm reactive. But I'm here and I'm going to talk to you. Is that really real? Or are you still in the moment?
No, well, it seems like it's attachments. It's like fragmenting that time point. Phone call from my sisters. Argument with David. Car's not working. Trying my damnedest to have a conversation with you. I've already fragmented self.
Correct.
And I'm not fully present.
Correct. Because in the argument with the husband, there was past brought up, which opened old wounds that now goes back to family acceptance. And all of that comes flooding back up. And now there's fear for the future. Am I going to be alone? It was a bad argument. All of my insecurities are in my face. The car doesn't start, which now triggers the financial worries. And what am I going to do if he leaves me? I don't have a car. I need his car because I have to get to work. Oh my God, I don't have the finances to get a new car. I need his credit line. And I'm afraid he's going to leave me.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to the sisters. And oh, they need money. And where is that going to come from?
The streets. I'm bitter, yes.
And you see where we're going with
I do
this.
see that, yeah.
Because it's a triggering.
And they fragment further, and there's all these Captain Save-A-Ho trying to figure things out, people, places, and things, fixing people, places, and things, fixing people, places, and things. So no wonder it feels like it's a carrot at the end of the stick, because every time Mansoor fragments, it attaches, there's further things to do, and it's this endless web. It's like the Alexander knot. It just keeps going and going. So there is no carrot at the end of the stick. I'm actively fragmenting further and further and further, creating all these knots. So even though I am moving, if you will, we'll use that term, even though Mansoor is moving, it gets rapidly slower and slower because more knots are being tied, more knots are being pulled. So there is no carrot at the end of the stick. There's just that.
And that is why it seems like a carrot, because it's impossible to reach in perception. And so when we say it's possible, you turn to us and say bullshit. And you must.
Yeah.
You must. Because how do you justify your reality otherwise? But we will say this to you. Take all of those different fractures and the energy transactions of them, which create time, bringing in the past to complicate the present, to make it a fearful future, and put them all together in one form. What do we have?
A cluster fornication. It's
We have a rock sitting between us.
Yes, sir. It's a dense, sinewy, stringy.
You don't see the beauty of it. Let us describe it. It is a rock. Get rid of the horribleness of it. That is your thoughts and emotions adding physical construct to make it a reality. That is illusion.
There is no story behind it. It just is.
It's just the attachment to the rock.
To the rock.
That's what keeps it in play. That's what makes it real.
Is the thoughts and emotions. That what draws the attention is the story given by the thoughts and emotions.
Correct. Now, understand the tool we just laid before you and the sharpness of the sword that can cut through the Alexander knot. Oh my God, the car broke down. How am I going to afford to pay for that? I just had a fight with David. I'm afraid he's going to leave me. What am I going to do if he actually does that? Because I can't afford a car. Am I going to bike to work? Uber? How am I going to get this to work? More fear, more intensity. Now, that thoughts and emotions puts Mansoor Dragon's Bane Majir in reaction mode, and it becomes a very clear thing of things you have to do to prevent, to stop, to fix, as you would so say, Captain Save-A-Ho saving himself. And you go into react mode. With us so far?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole process can take months. Months before the bee's nest comes back to rest because someone hit the hive. Or you can recognize the rock and remove the attachment. And this is a conversation you had yesterday. I show up and I allow it to unfold. I trust that there is a purpose. I will be at the perfect place at the perfect time.
That wasn't Mansoor who said it.
We're coloring in for you.
Oh, thank you.
And the plug goes from here to here as the source that knows. Take the plug from here and put it back down here, and you don't know. It's a bunch of unknowns. All of them are open-ended statements. What if? How can I? How will I? What will I? Do you see it? Mm-hmm. They're not complete statements. They're all open-ended because they don't know. They don't know. That's what creates fear. They don't know. And every time that a solution comes up, 2 more parts come up with an unknown. And the cycle feeds. Cut the cycle. Cut the energy source. Plug from here to here. And eventually you'll grow to the point that you stop moving the plug. Mm-hmm. Plug it into the knowing, and you know. And that is enough. But it is not physically present, but I know. I know. How many times have you watched your husband, say, and despite everything I know, and I'm just going to let go. And lo and behold, it works out. You've also watched him gone through, when the plug was in the lower place, about all of the unknowns, going round and round and round and round and round and round and round. But eventually he gets to the point of, okay, enough of this, and plugs it into where it goes and says that I know. Does it not always work out? Does it not everything come into alignment? Mm-hmm. In ways that he didn't even expect. Synchronicity. And his path expands. And all of the things that he feared the worst does not happen. Do you see it? It's just a rock. It's your attachment to that rock that is allowing the thoughts and emotions to do their job and create physicality, or the experience of physicality. The assumption of physicality, when in truth, it generates fear. Because the jury never settles. It never comes to a decision. Mm-mm. It never concludes. And when you think you do come to a conclusion, it's from an epiphany. Mm. Does that come from that level? No, it comes from the knowing. It's a momentary contact, and all of the thoughts and emotions get rearranged, and you say, aha, I see it clearly. It didn't come from that level. It can't offer you a truth. It offers you a corn maze where you always end up in the same place.
Someone chasing you with a chainsaw.
And no matter how you try to escape, somehow you always end up back in the middle. And the chainsaw is just one hedge over. You better run.
Run.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Good.
Golly,
can you do us a favor?
I'd be honored.
Can you pause? Don't stop. Pause the video.
I will pause the video. Bingo. Boom.
Square is a stop.
Stop. That's right. I'm a child of the 90s.
Ready?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so we continue with each of the examples we gave, it was all wrapped up into attention. Where you place your attention, where you choose to place your being, how you define yourself. And here is the thing, because we're going to peel back and show another layer and show a more intense absurdity of it all. All of the happenstance of the noise, the echoes of the emotions and thoughts, and working those out, integrating them, becoming whole. All of that understanding is essential work. Essential work. But then there comes a point in time that a sense of mastery comes into oneself and realize it's not required. It's only your attachment to them as definitions that makes them present in the first place. Deal with the discipline of attachment, the rest takes care of itself. You stop trying to manage the chaos and allow the knowing to guide. And what does the knowing do? It hits your inner tuning fork, which does what? Not a rhetorical question.
It goes off, it vibrates, it resonates, it bing.
And then?
Aha. And then you embody whatever that is.
What's the aha? The tuning fork goes off and sets off a unique frequency.
That's what you're talking about. Rearranging all the filings?
Which is what?
It completely reshapes the lens of perception.
Because it rearranges the thoughts and emotions with its vibration of truth, which is your knowing.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
Or you could stay above the piece of paper in the mist and understand it's a pattern. There's your corn maze that you constantly go around without the knowing. And you're trying to take each iron filing and figure out what is this and where does it belong. But you don't know, which of course would create fear. And how do you deny this fear? You pretend like you know.
Don't need to analyze every little thing.
And how do you play this out? With your masks. What is it that you're doing at work? What does the know-it-all do? When he stands there and gives everyone the answer, even though he doesn't know. He's denying that he's in fear. If you look at the why in situations of relationships, a example you used recently, that they can't talk about things with each other. Certain subjects is off limit.
Mm-hmm.
Which the list of what they can't talk about is generally much larger than what they can actually talk about. So what do they talk about? What's going on with everyone else's life? What's happening on TV?
Golly gee.
Because they can't talk about what's real, and why not? Fear.
They close up. It's so...
Because
Ooh.
they create an outward impression to force off that they don't know. What is creating the fear? You don't know. And it drives you mad because you don't. You don't have a clue. You look at life and pretend like you have a clue. You look at life and act like you know what you're doing. But most of the time, what is your conversation? I don't know what I'm doing. Which creates doubt, shame, guilt. Mansoor, take the plug from here and put it there. Don't you feel better when it's there? Don't you know when it's there? Does it not stop the fear? Do you not know what to do and when to do it and how to do it? Does it not instantly rearrange the iron filings in masterful ways that you couldn't even comprehend?
Yeah.
The illusion is that when you plug it from here to here, that you lose your will. When reality is, when you plug it from here to here, you understand your will because you know, and there is no confusion.
But when it's plugged here, you're not really acting out of will. You're acting out of just conditioning.
It still will, because every time you fight that conditioning, every time you find masterful ways to recreate it, every time you find masterful ways of hiding it, if we to look at it as a house, there would be so many piles of dirt under your carpet. Nothing would be flat. But yet you walk on it tripping, pretending like it is a graceful carpet in an elegant home.
Sticky note, put it on your Google Calendar, your spiritual Google Calendar, your ethereal Google Calendar. When the channel is ready, it would be really cool to have a discussion on will and free will.
Ah, the lesson of true will.
It could be part of it. It could be like a series, but I think because what I think is right? Maybe just like looking at what we think will is and what free will is and what acting out of free will is and what freedom is. Maybe exploring those, because without exploring our misperceptions, how can we even approach true will?
And that is correct. What is required and the delay to the meetings, and why we said we will not do it until you are ready. Excuse us.
Mm-hmm. Would you like water?
May we have a sip? There's
Please.
something caught in his throat, which is what Chastity advised him of.
Sip as much as you need.
Which today he did order the essential oils that you required.
Wonderful.
So,
Give me a minute, please. If you don't mind.
that is helpful, thank you.
This one's going to be a little pungent, but
Discuss the last things we were talking about.
True will, lessons on will.
Thank you. It is required for the channel to be at a place where he is non-attached. We cannot properly express non-attachment and the energy and emanate it until he is within that energy to be able to do so. Otherwise, it becomes just an intellectual conversation, which will lead nowhere. It must be demonstrated, and he is not ready. He is getting there to awaken and go back into that state of non-attachment. Once he does, the frame of reference will be within the mind that we can access to be able to properly explain it in terms you can understand.
The language will be there.
So.
Okay.
Exactly. How could you perceive of existing without the ego?
Well, David wouldn't exist. I said David and Mansoor wouldn't exist, but it doesn't mean we wouldn't exist.
Well, the fact is you would.
No. We would exist, but Mansoor and David, it's the attachment to Mansoor. It's my attachment to Mansoor and the channel's attachment to David.
Correct. When you go into a truer state of being, you lose attachment to all of those definitions. They are non-required. It's a state of being, experiencing in the moment, defining itself within that moment. There is no past, and there is no future. There is the moment you are within. And so finally, the mind comes together to experience through the body the point of the journey, the purpose of the physical form.
That's the turning the lens, the periscope?
The telescope
around. But everything that we've been learning from teachers, etc., have had it reversed.
Very much so.
Golly, yeah.
And in this example, to demonstrate this, let us talk about Jesus. What did Jesus teach? Forgive, heal, accept, judge not. Everyone who's good can get to heaven. What is it turned into?
Do we really need to? I mean, it's
not his principles and certainly not his teachings.
Exactly.
And so it becomes the mind of Christ, telescope reversed. Instead of accepting all because I accept myself, I reject you because I'm rejected. Instead of all good people can get to heaven, only I can because you're not good enough. You are rejected by God unless you accept what I believe, because that strengthens the fact that I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
God, I want to go in so many directions, but
all of it is the telescope reversed. It doesn't come from a position of more through the body, a position of knowing through the body. It comes from a position of I don't know to the knowing and assuming that it knows, despite the fact of it constantly showing it doesn't work.
It's saying exactly what you said a moment ago of the know-it-all at work. It's out of fear that one doesn't know. And so they know what's best for you.
And if you track it back...
Fuck! And is this a core of Captain Savaho? Mansoor, save yourself. Bingo, bingo, bongo. What the fuck? Hold on. Captain Savaho. Captain Savaho. Okay, continue. I'm just...
And if you take a look at his expression of Mr. Know-It-All, you'll find his astrological chart there waiting for you. Aspects within his astrological chart that's young and immature, waiting to find a mature, more spiritual expression. But only by being the know-it-all can he find it. Only by living that expression to its fullest and finally accepting its futility will he be open to its higher expression. But common therapy would have him stop being a know-it-all. While we would say, continue being a know-it-all. Embrace it, enjoy it, express it.
Keep on saving those hoes.
Because it's the only way you'll learn. And since you have placed your attention and awareness on that concept, have you not learned astounding bits of information about codependency, boundaries, relating to oneself, relating to others, and through that, how to properly relate to others?
I'm going to stop you real quick if you don't mind. You're okay with saying titty. You're okay with saying titties. And you're okay with saying bullshit. But I have not heard you... In fact, you just dodged trying to say Captain Savaho. You can continue. I just find that hysterical. Spirit will say titties and bullshit, but won't say Captain Savaho.
If it makes you feel better, Captain Savaho.
It won't make me feel better, actually. I just find it funny.
So, do you see it?
I do. I totally do, and it's great because when Daniel first called me Captain Savaho, it triggered me, and I laughed because it's a funny word. It's just a funny title, but like, it triggered me because I didn't want to identify with it, you know. And as soon as I was like, okay, I'm gonna take on the mantle of Captain Savaho. You want me to adjust that? Okay, I'm gonna take on the mantle of Captain Savaho, and I it's funny, lately I've been owning it at work. Like, oh yeah, back home, my nickname is Captain Savaho. And it's so funny because everyone loves that term, and everyone's like, you could see like a light go on, like, Mansoor, you're right. There are too many hoes out there that need saving, and you can't save them all. And it's funny because taking on this mantle of Captain Savaho and completely owning it not only has helped Mansoor and me and perceive it, but also like you could see the light in certain people going off of like they'll get overwhelmed, and then like when we have a meeting or something, they'll say something, damn, there's just too many hoes that need saving and I can't do it. It's like, so it's almost like taking on this mantle that I fucking hated, that disgusted me, owning it. Not only is it helping me see things, but it's helping others see things too.
And we would point out a certain wisdom.
That's really funny.
In the choice of words. Our son, we comment all the time and call him uncouth, but we also equally say we love that part about him because he'll use it with a sense of humor. What's the wisdom in using a sense of humor when trying to get to a truth? What's the quickest way to be in the moment?
It's that belly laugh. And that was when I had that hypnosis session, and I just, said what I said about the ripples and all that, it always came back to a laughter. It's like whatever came out of me, I spoke. It came to a crescendo, and then this laughter, this just deep-rooted laughter, and it's like a reset.
There was a yoga built specifically on laughing because of the truth of it, of getting to the moment through laughter. But understand the wisdom of, you say you saw light bulbs go off. You're expressing the truth with laughter, which puts them in the moment to see it. It shuts off and short circuits the guilt, the fear, the shame, the masks. You can't wear a mask while you're doing a belly laugh. There is no self. There's just the experience of laughter. It short-circuits all of that. A wise teacher uses humor within their teachings and lectures continually. By saying the unexpected in a way that was unexpected, to break the mask of the teacher to reach the student. Because Spirit wouldn't say that. Why wouldn't we? And
You guys
why
say some
shouldn't we?
funny ass shit though.
Because it's uncouth. There is a point of not cursing within these meetings so that parents can listen to them
Yeah.
with their children present. There is that. But in a private setting, why not? Because that's going to offend someone? Good, lead into that offense. You're about to learn something about yourself. But overall, it is a very effective tool. We've used humor with you quite a bit.
Yeah.
And gotten quite a bit of belly laughs by saying the unexpected in a way that broke your vision of our sacredness.
Yeah.
So yes.
Well, it's funny because, even in the bedroom, how many times have I heard, you laugh too much or you laugh a lot while having sex? And it's like, well, why not? It's fun. And how insecure some people are. Like, are you laughing at me? What happened? Why are you laughing? Like, I'm having fun. And I don't know. I just find that it just hit me. It's just like it's really interesting that, like, even laughter, like, it's like, is it wrong to laugh at a funeral? I mean, I know, like, in certain funerals, depending on the culture, there's always celebration, laughter around it. There's the mourning aspect, but then there's the laughter. Like, there's the jokes. There's the, oh my God, the time he did that and blah, 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 blah. And then there's just the laughter. I mean, even in David's favorite line from Steel Magnolias, no spoiler alert, but there's a funeral scene when it was just the person mourning was just saying it all straight from their heart. Just, it's not fair, I'm angry, da 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 da, everything. And then someone said something, completely joked about it, completely broke it, and everyone just belly laughed. And I think Dolly Parton's character had said, laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. And it is. It's like, I'm just going, yeah, laughter. It's just, it's wonderful.
It's a powerful tool. Again, it's the quickest expression you have to do an instant reset and be in the moment.
Yeah.
You can't wear a mask and you can't see time when you're laughing. It breaks it.
So then what's the role of the the clown, or what in the Sioux Indian tribe, David had brought it up.
Heyoka,
The Hayoka.
or sacred clown.
Yeah, so like just clowns in general.
It, for the Native Americans, for that tradition, it's a matter of a messenger from God, because they have a way of doing things and a way of being that makes you laugh, sees the absurdity of life, teaches all those around them about taking themselves too seriously, and puts them into laughter, reminds them to laugh, reminds them to break limitations and see the absurdity of it. Having someone around you that naturally plays that role is a great gift. And so they consider them messengers, sacred, to remember the absurdity of life, not to take it too seriously. That was their medicine. But we will go back to the original question. Our sun's energy goes low.
Yeah.
Did we answer your question to appropriately help you grasp and understand it?
Yeah, 100%. It's like, it was a paradoxical question, and it's not a complete 100%. It's a, for what reason, where are you, etc. Like what factors are included, you know. So yeah, it did. It was wonderful, clarifying.
Good.
Yeah.
So our final instruction is make sure our son eats. He forgot to eat today.
Woo.
And our peace to you.
Thank you. My man, you did not eat.
No, I did not.
Oh. You want me to make you some salmon burgers?
Huh?
Are you just going to eat and pass out?
No.
No, okay, good.
I'd like to go to the gym, but I'd need something in me.
Okay, do you want to go, well, let's pause. Let's take care of the birdie.
Now you press the square.
Square.